All right, guys, what's going on? What is going on? It is 1:37 in the a.m. I don't know. Can you tell? I might look a little perspired, I guess you could say. I almost feel expired, to be honest with you. It's been a little while, guys. Not since I did a podcast, but since I have ran. So that's what I just finished doing. I figured I'd do a quick podcast. This will go out on Tuesday morning, but it is now Saturday morning, 1:37 in the a.m., like I said, 1:38, something like that. I just got done with a run. My son, Alek, if you follow on my Facebook page, if you follow on Craft Conversations, Instagram, I think I put it on Instagram. Maybe I just put it on Facebook, but I know I've told everybody to go out and follow at The Daily Runner, DALEY Runner, The Daily Runner on Instagram. That's my son, Alek. He is on a quest to run for 365 days in a row. Not straight, because that would be ridiculous. That would be a lot of time running, like never stopping. But he's going to run consecutively for 365 days. He just posted earlier today his 46th day. So he is 46 days in. I think it was 46. Let me double check that. Excuse me, man. Yeah, 38 minutes ago, 36 minutes ago, day 46. So he's been out there killing it. He used to be a big time cross-country runner. He ran some track as well, but he was mainly into cross-country. I finagled him into, well, before that even happened, he was running cross-country, and I'm all sweaty. And when we were out in Alaska, he started track and cross-country out there, and then continued once we moved to Vegas. But when we were in Alaska, where I was doing the bulk of my running, did a lot of marathons out there, 10-milers, did a triathlon, a couple ultra marathons. Man, I really got my chest all kicked back up. I've been sick over the holidays, had a big chest cold, and I guess that kind of kicked things back in. Kind of got the, what's those things called? The little fingers on the lungs. The oh man, they're like little fur things that are on your lungs. But it must have got those all spun up and out of whack, and they're all pissed off at me. But what was I saying? So yeah, I kind of got him into running. My ex-wife was a big runner out there as well. I started running because of my ex-wife. She had started training for a marathon in 2008. She was going to run the Honolulu Marathon in Honolulu, Hawaii, obviously. So at the time, I ran here and there, and we're both in the Air Force. So we were both, had to do the fitness test, and we had to stay in shape, and we ran often, but it wasn't like it was an adventure for us. We just tried to maintain to run that mile and a half that we had to run during our fitness test. So it wasn't anything big, maybe a little bit more than that. But so she decided she wanted to train for this marathon, and I said, you know what, I might as well just help you train. That would be the husbandly thing to do. So I started training with her, and by the time it came up, it was getting close, within a couple of months, or maybe within a month of the marathon there in Honolulu, I said, shit, I'm going with you anyway. I'm already training. Why don't I just run the marathon? So that's what I did. I ended up running my first marathon in December 2008 in Honolulu. Excuse me, guys. God damn. Wasn't a pretty marathon for either one of us, but we got out there and we did it. It was kind of hard to train. I mean, we're training for a marathon to run in December. We live in Alaska, so imagine what the training is there in Alaska. I mean, unless you're indoors on a boring-ass treadmill, you're outside running in frigid weather, and you're out there running in snow and what have you. And then you're going to and then you're going to Hawaii, where it's hot and humid. It didn't make for a good marathon, for a good first marathon. We had a good time. We enjoyed it. We stayed out at Bellows Air Base out there on the island of Oahu. And we had a great time, but the marathon sucked. It started off, I'm getting way off course here, kind of I started talking about Alek, and now I'm going into this. But the start of the marathon, I mean, there was probably 10 to 13,000 people. I can't remember the actual number. It was way too big of a marathon for me for a first marathon. It was way crowded. It was pouring down rain when we first started, and just as crowded as it was, and we kind of got in the middle of the pack at the starting line. And when we first started out, because we were trying to be badass and trying to kill it, the first time out, but it was so crowded that you couldn't run, in a straight line. So we were bouncing back and forth. We were going off the street, up onto the curb, up onto the sidewalk, in the grass, back down to the pavement, zigzagging back and forth, speeding up, slowing down, depending on traffic and the people, not car traffic, but people traffic. And just a lot of wasted energy there at the beginning, a lot of lateral movements instead of just forward movements that we had trained for. And then the sun came up, because this was, it was early morning, and it was dark when we first started. And like I said, pouring down rain. A few miles into it, the sun came up. It was still raining a little bit. Then the rain stopped completely, and the sun came out, and the heat and humidity and stickiness coming off of the pavement from all that rain, and then the sun just beating down. I can't remember what the temperature was, but it definitely wasn't anything close to what the temperature was that we trained in Alaska. And oh man, it just beat us up, man. I mean, we were just suffocating in the humidity. And I got in at mile 18, 19, I can't remember the exact mile marker, but my left iliotibial band, which is the band that runs from your hip all the way down to the bottom of the outside of your knee, your lower leg, iliotibial band. Most people have pain at the knee joint, where it crosses the joint right there, and that's where you have the movement of the joint, and it just causes a lot of friction over that band as it just works back and forth across the outer tubercle on the outside of the knee. I had just excruciating iliotibial band syndrome at mile 18 or 19. And pretty much the last 7 miles of that race, because a marathon is 26.2, about the last 7 miles, I was able to run maybe 50 yards, and not even run. I mean, I'm talking a jog. I would jog 50 feet or 50 yards, and I'd have to stop. I mean, excruciating pain. I couldn't even run. I'd have to stop to a walk. So for the last 7 miles, it was 50 yards, maybe walk 50 yards, run 50 yards, walk 50 yards, run 50 yards, walk 50 yards. I stopped and stretched a little bit. I stopped and got a couple of massages at some aid stations. I put some ice on it, did everything I could. Nothing helped. I can't remember what the exact time was. I came in a little over 5 hours, and Brandy came in a short while after that. So not the prettiest marathon, but you know what? It was our first one. We got out there and did it. We didn't have optimal training as far as weather went. We had optimal training as far as time. We put in the work, we put in the mileage, but just 2 different locations, and there was no way to train for the acclimation of the weather. But what was I getting at? So we started doing that, and it kind of influenced both of our sons to do the same. And they were always influenced by fitness anyway, but it influenced them even more. I started doing more and more running and started running more and more marathons, and I was a daily runner. I mean, it wasn't a good day unless I had done 6 to 7 miles at the very least. So I was doing a lot of mileage, got Alek involved, and we started running this. I'm sorry, I'm clearing my throat so much, man. That run just really kicked up my lungs. But we started running this thing called the Bonny Sosa Tuesday Night Runs, I think it was called. Don't know if that's the actual. I know it's a Tuesday night run, but I don't know if it's Bonny Sosa. I can't remember. I guess I could look it up while I'm talking about it. But it was a run that happened pretty much in the fall time frame. I think it started sometime in August, maybe September, and ran through November. And it was every Tuesday. You would meet up at whatever location they had assigned. You would meet up at that location, and you didn't know what the run was going to be until you got there. So you would go out And about 30 minutes before the run, they would display the map. Bonny Sosa Tuesday. So about 30 minutes before the run, they would display a map of the course that you were going to take and also the mileage. So it would be anywhere from 3 to somewhere up to 6 miles. And I started doing that just solo by myself, and then I got my Then I got my ex-wife involved in it, and then eventually Alek got involved with it. So he started really his love of running there in Alaska. So we continued that. He ran a 10-miler with me. He ran I think an 8-miler. I don't think he never did a half or a full marathon or anything like that. But he did some good distance. I think 10 miles was probably his longest run. And then we moved to Vegas, and he continued his running. He got real big into track and field, cross country there when he was going to school there in Henderson, Nevada. What the hell was the name of it? I think it was Coronado High School. I think was the name of his high school there. Coronado. Yeah, he went to Eagle River, started Eagle River High there in Alaska, and then he went to Coronado High School in Vegas. Anyway, it doesn't matter to the story. And got real big into running, and I was still into running, and I was doing races there as well. And then I found out about an ultra marathon there called the Bootlegger 50K, which a 50K is 31 miles, a little over 31 miles. So I signed up for that, and Alek was 16 at the time, and I said, hey, do you want to, I think you should come out and do this run with me. I think you'd be great at it. You're a fantastic runner. You're strong. You got a great running stride and posture and everything else. He did really well during cross country. But, those were like 3 and 4 mile treks for cross country. If you ever run cross country, they're kind of short distances, like the 5K distance-ish. Man, I'm sorry for clearing my throat so much, but what can you do? So he agreed to it. And sidebar real quick. So it's called the Bonny Sosa Tuesday Night Races. Let's see. Tuesday Night Races. Yeah, so here's a description. For many Anchorage families, the Bonny Sosa Tuesday Night Race Series is a fall family tradition. These fun runs are like no other in Anchorage. Come rain, snow, sleet, hail, or wind, weather permitting, these races are rarely canceled. Whether you're a competitive runner or just want to get out and see a new trail or meet new friends, this is the event for you. 3 separate race courses are set each week at a different location around town. Local runners also volunteer as guest course setters, and some have gained a reputation of setting unique routes. While the Munchkin and Farm Leagues usually stay on heavily used trails, the Lightning League is a different story. Lightning courses have been known to follow narrow game trails, cross streams, and slog through swamps. So, super fantastic run. If you ever get a chance to live in Alaska, in Anchorage, or if you get a chance to go out there and visit during that time of the year, I would highly recommend it. Let's see. This right here, Tuesday Night Race Series. This is from last year, I think. Races will begin on September 11th and run through October 30th. So come on down, bring your family and friends, no dogs permitted, and be prepared for some hills, spills, thrills, and chills. Blah, 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 blah. In 2008, after the death of Bonny Sosa, longtime fitness advocate and founder, director of Healthy Futures, the race series was dedicated to her, so I guess it's Bonny. And her name became part of the Tuesday night races. With her can-do attitude, positive energy, and passion for life, Bonny was a front runner and activist in the community and a friend to all that had the privilege to know her. So that's how it all got started. So the Farm League is 3 to 10K. So 10K is up to 6 miles. And then a Lightning League is 4 to 12K. So a little bit longer for the competitive runners. So I just did the recreational runners. I didn't do the Lightning League. Excuse me. So that's what the Bonny Sosa Race Series out in Anchorage is. And that's where Alek got started, pretty much, doing some of his longer, more competitive racing. And I talked him into signing up for that Bootlegger 50K when we got to Vegas. He had never, like I said, done anything longer than 10 miles, I don't believe. So we got out there, and he ran that first race. I remember going to to find him after a little over six hours had gone by. I went to, and this was all off trail, no pavement whatsoever. It's all through the mountains, a place called Bootleg Canyon. Some desert mountains out there, real dirt and sandy, and very little foliage and trees or whatever, just very desolate kind of desert, as you would imagine, in Nevada. And I went out to find him, and I think I backtracked, from the finish line. I think I went back about 6 miles to find him after I had finished, and found him. And he was actually being paced by, somebody had picked him up and taken him under his wing, and realized he was struggling a little bit, picked him up and was kind of pacing him in. So I caught up with him, 6 miles back, and I started jogging next to him, like, "Hey man, how you feeling?" He's like, "Oh man, get the fuck away from me. Shut the fuck up. This fucking sucks. I'm never doing this again." And blah. He was just so pissed, man. He was so pissed. And he still had 6 miles to go in a 31-mile race, and came in a little bit over 7 hours. And I remember getting to the end of it, and was so proud of him. I mean, that's a long time to be out on a trail, man. As a 16-year-old, that takes some mental toughness, man. And man, I'm getting choked up right now just thinking about it. Just the the toughness that both of my sons have just amazes me sometimes. And for him to be out on that course, and this was in November, so it wasn't like it was hot. You think of Nevada and Arizona and those places being hot, 110, 120 degrees. This was November. It was probably at the start of the race, I think we were in the 50s, and probably at the 7-hour mark, we were probably maybe up into the 70s or something. I mean, it wasn't cold, but it wasn't that blazing hot either. And man, I was just so proud of him coming in at any time, whether it was 10 hours, whether it was 4 hours, whatever, just to come in and cross that finish line regardless, never running more than 10 miles and not training for this. We did some training, but it was mostly just his cross country that he was doing to train for it. So to not have even trained for it at 16 years old, and to be out on the course for 7 hours and still put one foot in front of the other and not quit and get across that finish line, man, I was dumbfounded and so proud. And I asked him at the end of that race, we were walking back to the car, kind of hobbling back to the car, and I asked him, I said, "Oh, okay, man, so we're going to do this again next year?" And he said, "No fucking way. You got to be fucking kidding me. I would never, ever do that again." Well, next year comes around. What do you know? We're back at the starting line of the Bootlegger 50K. And he crushed it. I think he came in a little over 4 hours. So he cut his time almost in half in a year at 17 years old, and finished his second ultramarathon at 17. So super proud of him, and I'm super proud of what he's doing right now. He's inspiring people. Please go out there, if you haven't yet, at The Daily Runner on Instagram, and follow his journey. Not only does he post a funny pic, and he posts his route and his mileage and his heart rate and all that stuff, he also, man, my nose is running because I'm all choked up, but he also post some real funny and inspirational text on those Instagram messages as well. So get out there and follow him. I think you'll enjoy it. It's inspirational, and it's inspired me. It's inspired me forever, and that's what I'm kind of getting to. Is it took me, this is the 46th day he's been doing it, and I kept telling myself, get out there and do it. Become a runner again, because you used to enjoy it. I mean, I couldn't go a day without running. I loved it. And like I said, if I didn't do 6 miles, I felt like I didn't do anything. at least. And I would go out, I would change clothes during lunch, and I would take an hour lunch, and I would go out and run 6 miles to 7 miles. I would come back, put my clothes on, go back to work. And then after work, I would maybe run home, which would be a 12 or 13 mile run. I might have biked into work. I might have biked back home, 13 miles each way. I might have stayed after work and just ran another 3 or 4 miles on a treadmill. I was a running machine. I could not get enough of it. And I told myself when I started seeing him running again, I said, man, I'm going to get back into it. He's inspired me. I'm going to do the same thing. Let's do 365 days. I put it off. I said, oh, Thanksgiving's here. Christmas is here. Oh, I got this event to go to. Oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I need to sleep in. Oh, I got to work tonight. Oh, it's raining outside. Oh, it's too cold. There was so many excuses. And that's all they are, is excuses. And I'm the first one to tell you to stop with the fucking excuses, but I made excuses, and I kept saying tomorrow. And again, I used to be the one that, would always refer back to the Rocky III movie when Rocky was training to fight Clubber Lang for the second time, and Apollo Creed was training him, and they're in the ring doing some sparring, and Rocky just kind of quits, and Apollo's like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? This guy's going to, take your head off, and this guy's going to kill you. This guy is going to hurt you. And Rocky was like, come on, man, just tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. And Apollo's like, there is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. And he just keeps saying that over and over. And that's true. There is no tomorrow. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. Get out there today. So anyway, I've been planning. I said I'm going to start it before the first of the year because I'm not one of those guys to do a New Year's resolution and start things on January 1st. And, you're just setting yourself up for failure most times. Most people don't stick to any resolutions. I'm not the type of guy that says, oh, I'll start it on Monday. I'm just not the type of guy that just waits for a day or sets a time to start something. I just start it. So I came home today and I parked in the driveway. I just got done with a 10-hour shift at Homegrown. I'm still in the same clothes I had on, my jeans. I had on some tennis shoes. I had on this shirt, a little cotton shirt. Or I think it's a polyester. I don't know what kind of shirt it is, but it's kind of an athletic shirt, I guess. But I'm in my damn skinny jeans, tight jeans. But they're athletic jeans, though. Athletic cut, anyway. So I parked in the driveway, and I said, you know what? Screw this shit, man. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I looked at my watch. It was exactly 1 o'clock, and it's exactly 2 o'clock right now, as a matter of fact, 2 a.m. And I said, you know what? Just do it. So I picked up my watch. I turned on I put my little earbud in. I turned on my music. I got my phone out. I took a little video. It's up on Facebook right now. And I said, just go for a run, man. Just do it. It's 1 a.m. It's a little wet outside. It's humid. It's like 60 something degrees. I just ate a big bowl of Cilia kicking chicken with a couple of sides of sour creams. I had, chili and sour cream stomach, and I had a couple Space Pope IPAs from Cigar City sitting on my stomach as well. I mean, easily within 30 minutes of getting to the house. And I said, fuck it. Go run a mile. Let's get this thing kicked up. Let's get it started. You're going to start on January 5th. And that's going to be your start date. I'm not starting on January 1st. I'm not starting on a Monday. I'm not waiting for the perfect temperature. I'm not waiting for the perfect sunshine. I'm not waiting for the perfect route. I'm not waiting for the perfect clothing. The right, I'm not going out and buying a $100 pair of shoes. Just get out there, get on the pavement, get on the trail, get on the grass, get on the bridge, get on the treadmill if you have to, and just do it. And that's what I did. And that's what I want you guys to do. Just get out there. It doesn't have to be running. Whatever your passion is, start an activity and stick to it. I'm not a firm believer, but I'm a believer that it's not really going to help you in the weight department. That's going to be your diet. 85% of it at least, 90% even. But it's going to improve your health. It's going to improve a lot of things, your blood pressure, your heart rate, your muscles, your elasticity, your tendons, your ligaments, all those things are going to be improved. Your lungs, all your bodily functions are going to benefit from it. You're going to get an endorphin rush, so it's going to improve your mood. It's going to improve your brain power. A whole bunch of good things. Get out there and move. I've said it many, many times, but I've been slack. I really have. I did a beer mile back in July, I think. My last Spartan race was back in May 5th, as a matter of fact. And on May 5th, I told my oldest son, Brian, that ran it with me, that I was retiring from competitive running and racing. I said I was done. I was not having any fun with it anymore, and I was done with it. And I haven't really done anything since May 5th of 2018. I've had, I did that beer run, or beer mile, which was only a quarter-mile run. I've maybe done 2 or 3 3-mile run walks with my dog. I do a lot of activity at work. I mean, I'm on my feet the entire shift that I work, anywhere from 7 to 10 hours. And I usually log 3 to 4 miles at work. So trust me, I'm not sitting around doing nothing. I'm standing the entire shift. I'm walking, I'm moving. And even while I'm at work, I'm doing push-ups, I'm doing squats, I'm doing lunges. You've seen some of my videos probably. I'm doing keg presses. I'm doing just all kind of weird shit periodically. So I get some fitness in, but I've been slack. I'm not the person I used to be, and I'm going to get back to that person starting today, starting at 1:00 a.m. So I got out there. I did a little video. I put it on Facebook. I'm using an app that I'm gonna prove that I've run, and post that as well. I'm going to try and do at least a mile anytime I do something. That's going to be the minimum, and then there is no maximum. So, and with that said, that's going to help keep me accountable. But with that said, I've got 2 races that I've got in the distant future, and I'm going to try and schedule some here in the sooner future. Does that make sense? Sooner future. But my oldest son, Brian, out in Flagstaff, Arizona, he's already signed up, and a couple of his friends, I think, have signed up for a Spartan Super out in Utah in July. And then my older brother, Bruce, I've gotten him out, and I did a sprint with him right after he had just fought a battle with cancer and was pretty weak at the time. But we did a Spartan sprint up in Winsboro, South Carolina. Real short, 4-mile course, I think it was, and 20 obstacles or so. He didn't do real well during that one. Wanted to redeem himself, so we stepped it up to after he kind of overcame the whole cancer thing and kind of got back into shape and got his health back and got his strength back and some muscle tone and whatever. And we went out and did a Spartan Super down in Georgia, and it was at some island down there, or lake, right outside of Atlanta, and I can't remember, Lake Lanier, I think it was. I think that's what it was, Lake Lanier. Oh man, a fantastic course. We had a fantastic time. I super trained for that, and he did as well. But Spartans are my thing. Running is his thing, and I had a slight edge on him, so I won that bout. He swears that we came in at the same time, but we did not. I allowed us to cross the finish line at the same time, and I came in 1 second ahead of him, but I would have easily come in way ahead if I would have just stayed the course and not waited. So I'm not bragging or anything, but I'm just saying I beat him. So he wants to do a Spartan Beast this year and challenge himself even more. He's been a super runner all of 2018, really killing it on the 5K scene. Spartan Beast is 12 plus miles, and most of the beasts that I've done usually end up being around 14 miles. So he's done some half marathons, so that's 13 miles. So he can definitely run the distance, I think. But when you add 30 obstacles in there, it's a game changer. So I've got those 2 races on the horizon. That one's going to be in August, and that's going to be in West Virginia. So I've got my goals set. I got my sights set on those 2 races, and I want to be competitive with my son and those young kids, the 20-year-olds out there in Utah. And then, of course, I want to be competitive with my older brother and show him what's up on a beast, because he hasn't seen anything like it. He thought the Spartan Super was the toughest thing he's ever done. Wait until you hit this beast. The beast is no joke. So that's my plan. So I'll have almost 180 days running by the time that Spartan Beast comes up. And of course, I'll start Spartan specific training as well. So that's where I'm at. So this episode, I guess, is going to be just about inspiration, about motivation, about running, about getting started, about not waiting until tomorrow, about setting goals, about finding inspiration in other people. Sometimes you have to look to other people to be inspired. I like to think that I'm self-inspiring, that I don't need any books. I don't need a self-help book. I don't need an icon. I don't need a role model. That I'm a self-starter in pretty much everything I do. But this time I got motivated by my youngest son. The student became the teacher at this point. And hopefully I can inspire some of you guys. And if you get out there to @TheDailyRunner on Instagram, I think you'll be inspired by this young guy as well. Alek Dales. He's doing great stuff. And just, read his post, man. He makes a lot of sense. But you just got to get out there and do it, man. Let's see what kind of time we got going on here, because it is 2:09 in the a.m. I'm 30 minutes in. I think that's long enough. That's a long enough podcast, right? So get out there. I'll give you a couple things. Get out there @TheDailyRunner on Instagram. Get out there and do that. I would recommend going out and purchasing Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, either the paper copy of it, e-copy of it, or get the Audible book copy of it, which I think is the best, because you can actually take it on your runs with you or take it to your workouts and listen to it. And it's got extra content that you're not going to get in the paperback version or the ebook version. They kind of combined the Audible book, and at the end of each chapter, they do kind of a podcast where David Goggins and, what was the other guy's name? The guy that narrated the book for him. They would have a discussion at the end of each chapter, kind of podcast style. But I think between those two things, you'll get extremely inspired. And then I think if you just get started, and if you just get out there and you get that endorphin rush and you make it a habit and you make it, part of your daily grind, and don't use that bullshit that you can't find the time. Everybody's got time. If you sat down and, with a book every day and you logged out all your activities throughout the day, 24 hours worth of a day, include your 6 to 8 hours of sleep or 9 hours of sleep, however long you're sleeping. If you chronicled your entire day and what you did, I guarantee you, the people that say, I don't have time to work out, or I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that bullshit. Whatever. Fuck you. You're full of shit. Everybody has time. Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. Nobody is utilizing every goddamn 24 hours of their day for their bullshit. You've got an hour to get out there and work out. Hell, you've got 30 minutes. You don't even need an hour. You can get a decent enough workout in 30 minutes. If you can't notch 30 minutes to an hour out of your day, then you're fooling yourself. That's bullshit. I guarantee you most people got 5 to 6 hours that they could salvage if they really wanted to. So don't fool yourself. Do not fool yourself. All right, that's enough of that, guys. I'm going to bed. I didn't even open this beer. I was going to open this Citrosity. Is it Citrosity? Citradelic, not Citrosity. New Belgium Citradelic. I've drunk it. I've had it many times on the podcast. It's a tangerine IPA from New Belgium. It's very good, but I didn't feel like opening it. So stay tuned. This was the first day. I got 365 days left. So here we go. And I'll talk to you soon.